So here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. We've reached that point in the season. It is closing weekend of the Remington Park Thoroughbred Meet. Brian W. Spencer and Jerry Shottenkirk from HorsePlayerNow.com going to walk you through some key races and sequences here closing weekend. We're going to look at some pick fours on Friday and Saturday, and then a deeper dive into some of those stakes races on the Sunday program. But Jerry, let's get things started by taking a look at Friday night's Primetime Pick 4. It does come with a $60,000 guarantee attached. Starts in race number 6, but your key race comes in this upcoming race number 8. It's an Oklahoma bred first level allowance going 5.5.
Yes, number 5, Flirty Rocket, comes off a good effort. Running a closing third last time, going 6.5 furlongs in the same allowance condition. Now, she was claimed 2 races back in July and had a little time off, and she came back looking really good. So Flirty Rocket, if she can run back to that to her last one and get going a little earlier, I think she's got a good chance to run a big one here.
Yeah, maybe she can finish there at that slightly sharper trip, and that's Jerry's key Flirty Rocket, number 5 in race number 8. Backing up here, though, to the start of this $60,000 guaranteed Primetime Pick 4. It goes in this upcoming 6th race. Here's Jerry's ticket. It's going to be the 2-5-6-3 with the 9-5. With the 5-6, with the 13-8, that's a compact play. It'll cost you $16. You can find that and Jerry's selections all weekend at RemingtonPark.com.
So here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. We've reached Saturday's Primetime Pick 4. It starts in this upcoming 6th race. I'm Brian W. Spencer, about to be joined by Jerry Shottenkirk here in advance of tonight's Primetime Pick 4. And Jerry, you've got your key race tonight on the Saturday program. It comes in race number 8, $5,000 multiple condition claimers, going a mile, and you're going to look at a class dropper here at a potentially square price.
Number 2, Angel of Dreams, gets the nod here. She comes out of an allowance race and is back to 5,000, which she ran for 2 races back. She got beat a nose in that one, and that was going a mile, 70 yards. She came from far, far back, took a clear lead in the stretch, and then was caught right at the end. Well, if she runs the same race back, she'll be really tough because this is a mile and a little bit shorter. So Angel of Dreams, if she could time it just right, I think she's a good bet in this one.
Yeah, she was a square price 2 starts back when she just missed, as you mentioned, so I think there might be a fair number here. Here's Jerry's ticket. It's going to start in race number 6 after that look at the 8th, but coming up here in race number 6, it starts that Primetime Pick 4. Here's an $18 play. It's going to go 10-6-9 with the 4-2, with 2-7, with the 4-14-10. That's Jerry's Primetime Pick 4 play on the Saturday program. Visit Remington Park for that play and more. Good luck.
So here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. We've reached closing day of the Remington Park Thoroughbred Meet here, and this Sunday card has a special early first post. It'll be 3 p.m. Central Time, so do make note of that. They'll be kicking things off earlier than usual to close out the season in Oklahoma City. Brian W. Spencer and Jerry Shottenkirk from HorsePlayerNow.com about to take a look at, 5 of these stakes on the Sunday program. And Jerry, let's start those looks with race number 8. It's the Trapeze Stakes. It's for the 2-year-old fillies going 1 mile, and you're going to look at the number 3, Princess Sina Julia.
Yeah, she comes off 2 local victories. This summer she started in Kentucky and was unplaced at Ellis, and then ran once at Churchill Downs. Coming here, making the trip here really was what the doctor ordered. Is she broke her maiden first time here, and then came right back in a tough allowance race. So Princess Sina Julia is one of 4 Steve Asmussen runners in this one. You got to think he's got a pretty good chance to get it done here, and I think the 3 has the edge over the others here. So the 3, Princess Sina Julia, to get the victory in the Trapeze.
Yeah, one of the 4 Asmussen horses. We hear that a lot on big stakes days here at Remington, and Princess Sina Julia gets the call in race number 8. It's the Trapeze Stakes at Remington. Good luck.
And here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. Remington Park Sunday, race number 9. It's the She's All In Stakes. I'm Brian W. Spencer, joined by Jerry Shottenkirk from HorsePlayerNow.com. And Jerry, this one, 1 mile and 70 yards on the main track, one of several stakes on the Sunday card. And who gets the call here?
This one goes to number 3, Blue Moonrise. Boy, since arriving at Remington Park, she's just been a standout. She broke her maiden here by 14 1/4 lengths, and then came back in an allowance race, won by just a length less. So she has 2 wins here for a cumulative 27.5 lengths. So you have to be a believer in her. Now, every once in a while, you'll run across a horse that comes out of nowhere and wins by a long way. And a lot of times those horses don't run back all that well for one reason or another in their next race. But to repeat that performance really showed a lot. So the 3 Blue Moonrise, I think, really has an edge over here in this tough race that has quite a few proven older fillies and mares. She's a 3-year-old taking on the olders here, but I really think she has what it takes here. The 3 Blue Moonrise.
Yeah, you're going to take that chance. I mean, you got a horse like Brad Cox's Remedy at 7-5 on the morning line, multiple grade 3 placed, including a second in the Remington Oaks here last season. But Blue Moonrise, how are you going to argue with those 27 lengths in those 2 wins locally? Blue Moonrise gets the call for Jerry in the $100,000 She's All In Stakes.
And here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. Getting set to take a look at this Primetime Pick 4 here on closing day. It does start in race number 10, and bettors, beware. $100,000 guaranteed. Lots to like here in that Primetime Pick 4. Jerry, let's take a look, though, at race number 11. We're going to have a ticket here that does start in this upcoming race. I'll clear that all up at the end of this one, but let's look at race number 11, the Jim Thorpe Stakes. This is an Oklahoma-bred run going 1 mile, and you're going to look to the number 5, Fast Break and Cash, as one of your key players in tonight's Pick 4.
Yes, Fast Break and Cash has only been out 7 times. He has 3 wins, and a lot of those races are against the best horses around here. Namely, in sprints, Welder has been the horse around here, and he's run pretty competitive against him, running 3rd behind him in the Oklahoma Classic Sprint. Fast Break and Cash will stretch out today to 1 mile, going 2 turns, and with his running style, the way it's been lately, he's been relaxing a little bit. I think a lot of that has to do with the hands of veteran rider Stuart Elliott. He's got him to relax a little bit and come on at the end, which he hadn't been doing. So, there's no guarantee that a horse will be able to keep the same form when he stretches out, but it really looks like the way he's been running, the steady way of making up ground. I think he ought to be really, really tough going 1 mile.
That's the number 5, Fast Break and Cash in race 11, the Jim Thorpe Stakes. Let's back it up. 1 race, though, the $100,000 guaranteed Primetime Pick 4, starting soon. Here's Jerry's $27 suggested play. 5-9-3 with the 5-8-11, with 9-4, with 10-9-12. If you missed that or any of Jerry's selections throughout the weekend at Remington Park, go to remingtonpark.com. Good luck.
And here comes Jesse's first down, the two-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. We've reached the big one here on the closing day program. Race number 12, it's the Springboard Mile. This one going 1 mile for the 2-year-olds, and we've seen some horses, some big-name horses come out of here, some Derby players, some horses that have gone on to Oaklawn, so obviously we're going to pay attention to some of these names, and Jerry, bringing you in to talk first here about your top choice. We're going to get a look at a couple of these horses, but looking to the number 9, Shoplifted, looked like a good thing in the debut win back at Saratoga, has not quite backed it up yet. set, but dropping out of 3 consecutive Grade 1s today.
Yeah, he really looks like he's Grade 1 material. His last 2 weren't that great. His last one was in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where he just didn't fire and only beat 1 horse out of 8. But as you said, his maiden victory at Saratoga was really good. And he came out of that in the Grade 1 hopeful and ran a non-threatening second, but it was a pretty good race. Some decent horses were left behind him. So Shoplifted, being by Into Mischief, is really meant to be a runner. And I think 1 mile should be right up his alley. So I look for Shoplifted to be fairly close to the lead today, and I think Ricardo Santana Jr. will have him rolling when he needs to. So number 9, Shoplifted, gets the nod in the Remington Springboard Mile.
Yeah, and Shoplifted probably going to be a decent enough price despite that big class edge on a lot of these. I think one who's going to take some action you've got in second, Jerry, is the number 4, Answered In. Going to get a class test here, just broke the maiden, but one of those horses out of the Brad Cox barn. The blinkers came off second time out. Huge effort, could really be any kind still.
That really was a big effort last time for number 4, Answer In. Broke his maiden at Churchill, came a little bit off the pace and won going away. And before that, he got beat by a nose in his debut. So he's shown a lot of ability in his first 2 races. And last time out, going 7 furlongs to 122 and change, that's really good, especially for a 2-year-old. Now he's by dialed in. He ought to be able to get the distance. He'll be close up all the way today. The races he comes out of, they were so fast that unless Javier Castellano takes back with him, I think he has no choice but to be right on the front end or very close to it. So the 4, Answer In, will be right in the hunt throughout.
Yeah, it has that look of those Brad Cox types who really just, they improve so quickly and they run those big numbers. We'll see if Answer In can take the step up. And Jerry, one more I want to talk about here, going turf to dirt, the number 8, Embolden. You've got this one in third, has run on the dirt once in the career debut at Monmouth. It wasn't all bad. Speed, fade, distant second. Has put together a decent little resume going short on the grass for trainer Mike Stidham. 2 turns on the dirt. That's going to be the big question.
Yes, well, according to his pedigree, he should be able to get the mile, and it looks like he doesn't really need to have the turf. He's by the Factor out of Lionhearted. The Factor, as we know, was a good sprinter, and Lionhearted was a really hard trying horse on the front end going longer distances. So, and Bolden looks like he should be able to be right out toward the front. He comes out of those turf races that were really fast in New York, and he ran pretty well. He ran a third and a second in his last 2. His Colonial races were kind of blowouts where he won easily, and you don't know exactly what kind of horses he was facing. I mean, he was in restricted company with the Virginia breds, but I think getting a chance to stretch out. I think Mike Stidham really has a plan with him. I think if he didn't think he would be able to run a big one, he wouldn't be in here. And his rider, Brian Hernandez, I've been noticing in Kentucky and other spots where he's really, really showing that he's among the elite. So he gets horses relaxed early, and usually they have something left for the finish. So I think Hernandez being up on Embolden really ought to help him out here.
Yeah, and Embolden, too. Nothing wrong with that 2-back run. Check out the company line. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint winner 4-wheel drive. Beat him that day by better than 3 lengths. All that said, though, it's the number 9, Shoplifted. Jerry looking for a bounce-back performance here in the Remington Springboard Mile, dropping out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Lots to like in this race, though. Should be a fun one to watch. But Jerry, on the 9, Shoplifted. Good luck.
But here comes Jesse's first down, the 2-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. Remington Sunday, race number 13. It's the last of the day, last of the week, last of the season. It's the Jeffrey A. Hawk Memorial, going 1 mile and 70 yards. And Jerry, we've been doing this for a couple of seasons together, and I don't know you usually to be a guy to pick against Shotgun Cowboy, but marooned in the widest post 12, you're going to take a shot against him here today to close out the thoroughbred season.
Well, as much as I hate to do it, I am going to try to beat him, and I really would not be surprised if if he did what he normally does. So, but in this one, this is such an interesting setup as far as pace, and Shotgun Cowboy is probably the best horse, but he's out of the 12 hole, and it'd be interesting to see what Stuart Elliott does. As far as sending him or trying to save some ground with him. Like I said, there are so many horses in here that kind of want to be on the lead. So it's really a kind of race that looks like it's set up for a closer. And I think that closer, looking at his last two races, might be the 10, Chris and Dave. Ramon Vasquez gets the honors today. He finished second behind Shotgun Cowboy last time. Ran kind of an even race. He was third and made up a length or two along the way and finished a decent second, 3 lengths ahead of the third horse. So if you like Shotgun Cowboy, you have to like Chris and Dave a little bit. At the very least, he has a better post position, and he's the kind of horse he does show that he kind of likes to be on the front end in some of his races. But if you look back at those races, they really weren't that fast, and they didn't have a lot of speed in them, so he really had no choice but to be where he was. He won't get the lead in this one, and if he does, he'll probably have nothing left for the finish. So I think a lot of horses will go for the lead. I think Chris and Dave, hopefully he'll get some a good trip and be able to save a little ground and make a run toward the end. So Chris and Dave gets the nod here. I also like the 9 Sleepy Eyes Todd. Boy, he's really for a horse that doesn't have that many starts, has already shown a lot of ability. He was second in the Oklahoma Derby behind Owendale, and that was just his 6th start. He's won 3 of those. He was the kind of horse we didn't really know exactly what kind of horse he was, running in allowance races at Canterbury, but boy, he was really sharp up there, and he was able to keep running well as he came down here for the Oklahoma Derby. So I think Sleepy Eyes Todd has a shot, and also, of course, the Shotgun Cowboy out on the outside. Horses won $1.5 million, 15 wins, 10 of them locally. So, dismiss him at your own peril. But, you could try to beat horses like this every once in a while. He's probably going to be a little overplayed just because of who he is. If he's down, 8-5, 9-5 in that area, or even lower, I mean, I would definitely try to beat him because, you're trying to look for a little bit of value, and I think it's going to be elsewhere here. Mainly in the 10, Chris and Dave. I think he'll be a good number.
Yeah, this one's going to be a pace overload. You got stretch-out sprinters galore here, so this one's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But Chris and Dave gets the season-ending call for Jerry. We thank you for listening to us all season long with these spot plays. We're going to be joined by Dale Day, Remington track announcer, just for some information on Remington Springboard Mile and the closing weekend of the Thoroughbred meet at Remington. Thanks so much for listening. Visit us at horseplayernow.com. We'll be back with a look at the Remington Quarter Horse meet this spring. Good luck all weekend at Remington, and thanks again for joining us.
But here comes Jesse's first down, the 2-time world champion, not to be denied, going past the champion 3-year-old.
Remington Park, right now. Joined here to close out the Remington season with a visit from Remington track announcer Dale Day. We've gone over the 3 p.m. first post on Sunday's program, $100,000 guaranteed primetime pick 4 on that closing day card. And Dale, for those in Oklahoma City, let us know what's going on track for those players who are going to be able to actually make it to the races on closing weekend.
Sure thing. We want people to arrive early on Sunday. 2 p.m. Central Time. That's when the Remington Park duffel bag giveaway will begin in the racing entrance lobby while supplies last. Each duffel bag carries either cash or a racing credit voucher. So either way, you get something along with your duffel bag. So that starts at 2 p.m. Of course, racing begins at 3 p.m. Central Time on Sunday for the Springboard Mile. And we'll also have big cash giveaways during the races. People on track, all they need to do is get their Club Remington card. That's our player reward program at Remington Park for both racing and in the casino. Get that card, swipe that in the machines or with the teller as you wager on the Remington races that day, and you'll be eligible for an electronic draw. If you're selected, you'll get to go outside and select I don't know what the graphic is going to be yet, but there'll be something up on the big super screen, and you'll pick one, and it will reveal a cash amount that you will win, top prize up to $1,000. So that's kind of our thanks fan appreciation cash giveaway coming up on the final day, Sunday, Springboard Mile Day.
Yeah, and speaking of the Springboard Mile, you got a field of 12. As always, trainer Steve Asmussen did his part, sent a handful of them into that race, and you got Brad Cox sending an answer in off of the big Churchill Maiden win, a pretty nice dozen for the closing day feature, Dale.
Yeah, Brad Cox trying to take the Oklahoma Derby Springboard Mile double in the same season, if you will. He won the Oklahoma Derby in September with Owendale. Now he ships in with Answer In, who could be any kind, has only broken the maiden in 2 races at Churchill, but did that impressively and has had a series of tremendous workouts in Louisville prior to shipping to Oklahoma City earlier this week. So Answer In, definitely going to be a player. Shoplifted, who ran a disappointing 7th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Santa Anita on November 1st. That horse is definitely going to be someone to watch. Ricardo Santana coming in to ride for Steve Asmussen. Santana does not come here unless he plans to win at least 5 races on the card. That seems to be his normal MO. He won 7 on Oklahoma Derby Day back in September, tying a local track record for most wins by a jockey in one program. So Shoplifted is going to be a player despite the disappointing effort in the Breeders' Cup. And I'm not going to pick Rowdy Yates. I'm going with Shoplifted, but Rowdy Yates, the Oklahoma bred, he could be anything as well. He has just done phenomenal things here at Remington Park, winning on Oklahoma Classics Day in sprint distance 6 furlong, and he came back to win at a mile in the Don McNeil Memorial in November. And in that race, he had to really be patient and wait. He was caught up in a little bit of traffic coming off the turn at the quarter pole and had to wait for an opening in the top of the stretch. Once he got that, he excelled and took off and was just fine. So he kind of learned something in that race. And I still think Rowdy Yates might be a player in the Springboard as well. But a 12-horse field, 1 mile, it's a solid race, and it kicks off the late daily double, and we're looking forward to that. And hopefully, again, a race with Kentucky Derby qualifying points for 2020. Hopefully we'll see at least one runner come out of this race and go to the Derby again, as we've seen 3 of the last 4 years.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Rowdy Yates, Oklahoma bred, but not really just an Oklahoma bred. You know, Open Stakes place was second in the Grade 3 Bashford Manor. I think that he may get a decent run with some other pace signed on here. And Dale, before we wrap things up, let's talk about a couple of the names that we've come to love at Remington over the last several years. On Saturday, it's kind of fitting that these 2 horses are both running closing weekend. We'll start Saturday. Welder gets in an unconditioned allowance race. He's looking for his 10th in a row, and this could be a big one for him if he wins tomorrow night.
Sure can, and people think, well, he's Oklahoma bred, he's stepping out of the open company, but he does that occasionally. He's won the David Vance Stakes on the undercard of the Oklahoma Derby the last 2 years, so he's solid enough in open company. If he wins tomorrow night on Saturday evening, it will be his 10th consecutive victory at Remington Park. That is not a record. Slideshow, top filly mare we had back in the mid-'90s, holds the mark at 11 straight wins. But 10 in a row at any racetrack, and it's spread over 3 years for him. That's very impressive. And a victory in his race on Saturday night would also put him over the $1 million mark in career earnings. And for a sprinter, that's always phenomenal, especially for a sprinter that primarily runs in this region of the country. He doesn't run on the coast in New York or Florida or California where the money may be bigger, and similar type races for 6 furlongs. So Welder's one to watch out for to see if he can make his own history. If he does, he will become the 8th Oklahoma bred in racing history to pick up $1 million in career earnings. One of those other Oklahoma breds is Shotgun Cowboy. He will race in the Jeffrey Hawk Memorial Stakes, the lucky 13th race on Sunday, the final race of the season, $100,000 on a mile and 70 yards. He drew post 12 in a field of 12. Shotgun Cowboy already a millionaire. If he wins this race, though, on Sunday, he will also become a millionaire at Remington Park only. No horse in Remington Park history has done that. He is a little more than $40,000 away from $1 million in earnings at Remington Park. So should he win on Sunday evening, by the time that race runs, he'll go over the $1 million mark in earnings only at Remington, in addition to what he's picked up elsewhere. So that's a very impressive feat, and would also be his 11th career win at Remington Park, as he's creeping a little closer to the all-time wins mark, but probably not, as a 7-year-old, probably not likely he would get to 15. But you never know. He seems to be running as well as he has in the last couple of years in his last couple of outs.
Yeah, and before the recording this, Dale and I were just kind of chatting about Welder, and you look back at his races he's put together almost $1 million running in $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 races, along with some 6-figure races, Oklahoma bred races. But just what a cool horse of the meet last season, and has obviously done nothing wrong. 4 for 4 so far this year. Exciting to get to see him and Shotgun Cowboy both potentially hitting milestones on closing weekend of the 2019 Thoroughbred meet. Thank you to Dale Day. Thank you to Jerry Shottenkirk. Thank you to you for listening all season long to Remington Park. Right now, enjoy Springboard Mile weekend, and we'll catch up with you again next season.